In today's video, I want to take a look at what one developer has to say about the DualSense controller, and on top of that, there's a new report going around that while games might not be delayed, some developers are scaling back scope of their games rather than an actual delay amid everything going on. We'll talk that in just a little bit. But as noted by WCC of Tech, by the way of speaking with Push Square, Techland's Timon Spectala, lead gameplay designer on Dying Light 2, expressed all of his excitement for the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller, calling the new features potential game changer. Obviously, if you guys aren't aware, the DualSense controller is a little bit of a shift from your typical DualShock controller, featuring a lot of new improvements. Those improvements look great. I am just a little bit concerned about the price point with the controller, but nonetheless, that's something that hasn't been officially revealed. Here's what Techland's Timon Spectala had to say. Quote, "I absolutely love the DualSense controller. It's an amazing design, as futuristic as we should expect in 2020, the sci-fi times we already live in. As for the shape, we need to see how it'll fit in the hands, but looking at it, I get very good vibes. I think it has a chance to be one of the best in history, just big enough, but neat and funky at the same time." He continued by saying, "I also think that the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers can be real game changers, way more than people expect right now. I'm curious about the overall sturdiness of the thing. It also looks so sleek. I wonder if it will survive accidental falls and rage quits, but all in all, even though I know the initial options were varied, for me, it's absolutely fantastic." Hey, that's very high praise coming from Timon Spectala. Again, Techland, Timon Spectala, who they are working on Dying Light 2, and Dying Light 2 is looking to be an incredible game at this point. We don't know if the game is going to be coming out this year, or if it's a game that's going to end up being delayed until 2021. Initially, I had expected that game to come out sometime in the spring, but obviously at this point, that is not going to be coming to fruition. It'll also be interesting to see how the DualSense controller will have compatibility with PC, since Sony is showing more interest in PC consumers as well, bringing Horizon Zero Dawn. Of course, Death Stranding is coming to PC. It would be kind of cool if DualSense was a little bit universal in that sense, in that it can connect to PCs no problem. I know that you can connect the PS4 to PC, but also at the same time, not every game works with the DualShock 4 controller, so that is a little bit of a bummer. As of this moment, Microsoft definitely has their feet well deeper into the PC gaming waters than Sony does, but that could be beginning to change with Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC. We'll see how that performs. But as far as the DualSense controller goes, it seems like it is one of the best received controllers of all time. Not even from the sense of what Dying Light 2 developers have to say. Also, just look at the general reception on social media and all of the other platforms. When people talk about DualSense, yes, there's a contingency that may not be as into the controller as some other people. I know some people don't like the white look, although I do expect them to offer a variety of different colors, whatever the case may be on that. Generally speaking, I think people are enamored with the controller, and at the same time, this is a significant shift from existing DualShock controllers, and sometimes change isn't met with the most positive of things, but in the case of DualSense, they've changed enough where it looks something brand new, but at the same time, it does have that essence of the DualShock controller still there. I mean, it is called DualSense at the end of the day. And with all of the under-the-hood improvements, things like haptic feedback, a built-in microphone, and every other thing that the DualSense controller has going on for it, I am very excited. Again, I am only skeptical about what could that battery life be, because it's got so much under the hood, and also, what is the price point gonna be? Every generation, we've seen these controllers get more and more expensive. It reached a fever pitch this generation with the DualShock 4 controller being at $65. I would have a very, very hard time believing that DualSense is only gonna have an MSRP $10 more or $5 more than the DualShock 4 controller. That just seems like wishful thinking. I could easily see this controller end up being $80, $85. I know you're gonna get one with the console itself, but hey, a lot of people do want to have 2, 3, or even 4 controllers at their home, and that might be a pretty steep price to pay if you do want to end up getting 4 DualSense controllers in your home. Nonetheless, at this point, it seems like developers and consumers alike are really excited by the prospects of the DualSense controller. Alright, moving on from that, a new report coming from Jason Schreier, who is incredibly reputable, from New York Times. Some developers scaling back scope of their games rather than delay amid everything going on. Schreier's article discusses the various ways in which developers have been affected during everything going on, that is focusing development slowdowns due to new work from home measures. And yes, while game developers can work from home, it's not the same as having everybody in the office and everybody working together. That is inherently just going to make game development a little bit slower. And also, closures of various businesses critical to development and distribution. Game development isn't the only hurdle to jump through. That's why we had the delay of The Last of Us Part 2 and Iron Man VR indefinitely due to logistical issues with physical production, which is going to be a main part of the delays that we are going to see. I know the argument can be made, why don't they just release the game digitally? Why do they have to make physical releases? You also have to ascertain the fact there's a lot of people that bought the special editions and all of these various editions physically, and to throw them under the bus and limit the release pattern of your game, that would be a little bit unfortunate. I can see why they're delaying it. Would I love to play The Last of Us Part 2 at the end of next month? Yes, but at this point, that is not going to be happening. Specifically, Schreier noted 2 developers of video games planned for this fall who spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak to the news media, said that so far they had chosen to cut scope rather than delay their games because of slowdowns in productivity at their studios and at outsourcing houses, particularly in China and India. They plan to cut features, levels, and quests in hopes of making their deadlines. Who knows what games they are referring to, but you gotta think about the games coming out this fall. All of the PlayStation 5 launch titles, games like Cyberpunk 2077, Marvel's Avengers. There are a lot of compelling games that look to be released this fall, and I'm sure everybody wants to meet their release windows. You can also look at a game like Watch Dogs Legion. There are so many games being scheduled for this fall, and a lot of them are very grandiose in scale. Cyberpunk 2077 is absolutely enormous, and that was a game that was originally scheduled for May. Now, CDPR has come out and said that they have no problems. They're going to get that game out in September, but it is a little bit worrisome in terms of the impact it is going to have to some games. And then on Marvel's Avengers, again, that's another game that was supposed to come out earlier this year. I believe it was supposed to come out in May, but it was delayed until September. That was a game that looked a little bit rocky. They needed as much time and as much productivity as possible to get that game to be as good as possible, because bear in mind, that's a brand new IP coming into video games, in the sense that we haven't had many Avengers games before. This is one that a lot of people are gonna look under a microscope, and Square Enix wants to deliver. Crystal Dynamics wants to deliver on that game, and there's a reason why they did see a considerable delay on the game, because they want to make it as good as possible. With something like this going on, that is gonna make it even harder. I could easily see that game being delayed again, because I think CDPR already has the foundation of an excellent game. I am just a little bit more skeptical as far as Marvel's Avenger goes, but that's just a speculation on my part. And then again, you have to ascertain all of the games that haven't been announced. What about a new Assassin's Creed? What about XYZ game that was supposed to be announced at E3? There are so many games that were gonna be coming out this fall, especially to accompany the new consoles. You have to wonder how they've been impacted. And yes, if the scope has been altered, that's a big unfortunate scenario, but I think a lot of these developers and publishers, they are very aware that they need to get these games out for the wave of new consoles. Yes, they're going to be cross-gen titles in a lot of cases, but you want those games out for the new consoles to capitalize on that hype as well, because come the day of the PS5's release, everybody that buys a PS5, a lot of them are just going to be picking up every marquee game that they see. Even if Watch Dogs Legion was available on prior gen consoles, they might immediately pick that up on PS5. They're going to pick up a Horizon 2 if that's available at launch, and that's a grandiose game as well. So very interesting in regards to how this is all going to shake out. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, as far as the DualSense controller goes, everybody's saying very good things about it, and it seems like Dying Light 2 developer in Timon Spectala is incredibly excited for it. By the way, he's the lead gameplay designer on Dying Light 2 if you guys are interested. That game looks fantastic as well, and some developers seem to be scaling back scope of their games rather than a full-on delay amid everything going on. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.